Some of the guys have said they had noodle legs today, being off for so long. How do you think they did?
Yeah, we build practice that way. I mean, these first three days for us are really like spring ball, kind of an exaggerated spring ball, and focusing a lot more on us than TCU at this point. And then we have essentially a game week with a bonus practice, Christmas break, and then a game week with a bonus practice down there. So that's kind of, been our approach these last few years, and it's worked out okay. But yeah, the energy was good. It was like a family reunion kind of everybody being gone for 2 weeks, especially the coaches. We miss these guys, believe it or not, and I think they even miss us a little bit. So it was good to be out there, and that part was good. Now I just have to clean up a bunch.
Was it weird not having Scott out there?
Yes and no. I mean, there's time throughout the year that you don't have other coaches there, and you just go. And the way that we run practice, there's not one voice or any kind of thing where you go, wow, you really, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, yes and no. And that's kind of like anything.
Is it tough to get the guys to bounce back after that kind of a layoff? I mean, forget the energy, just physically.
Well, again, that's what you just have to kind of, hopefully be smart about it, and that's where we take advice from the sports science people and Rad and all the other people of kind of ramping up these first 3 days, and then really having a physical hard segment of a true game week, shutting it down and ramping it up again.
Mark, what was your initial reaction just seeing the TCU versus Oregon Alamo Bowl draw?
They're really good. Everybody was all excited about it, and naturally, and I think I told somebody else earlier, if I was sitting in a bar watching the game, I'd be really excited about it. Going against them is just a huge challenge, and they're really good. Most of their guys are already healthy, as far as guys that missed time in these last couple of games, nicks and dings, and so that's good for them. Yeah.
Gary Patterson was saying it has kind of a playoff feel to it. Do you feel that in terms of like the hype around the matchup and the quality of the matchup?
Sure. I mean, certainly when you watch the film, they look like a playoff team, and absolutely before Boykin got hurt, they were undefeated and playing lights out. You have whatever the scores were, 70-7 and 50-something to 6 and 50-something to 7. Those are ugly scores if you're on our side of it. And again, when you flip on the film, their skill guys are really good. It's not just Boykin, it's not just Dodson, it's a bunch of other guys too.
You said yesterday that you and Lubin will kind of trade off calling the calls for the Alamo Bowl. Do you take that as kind of a pre-interview? Like if he does well there, he could take over as the permanent offensive coordinator?
You could look at it that way. I think what I said is we'll go through this and decide who's going to call it, and I have total confidence in him, in our offense, and you could think of it that way, sure.
Is he the front runner for the job, or is there a front runner? How far along in the process are you?
I wouldn't put any kind of a label on it right now. Yeah, it's humbling, the response that this place gets in terms of the quality of the individual, the quality of the background of the individual that have kind of expressed interest, and so that that's just the nature of this business. There's a lot of very good people that want to be a part of that.
You're not opposed to going outside of the program then to bring in an offensive coordinator?
No.
This is a random nuts and bolts question, but when a coach leaves, like Scott did, can he come clean out his office right now? I mean, you guys, is he banned from the facility?
Was he escorted out?
It's a high security situation.
Dave have to go put everything in a box
yellow,
for him?
green. I don't know what the levels are. It's funny you should say that. We were joking about that earlier. There's about I don't know how many boxes in his office right now, and they're sitting in there. And so I took a picture of it and sent it out. Something like get your stuff out of your joke. Joking, it's a joke, but it just depends. Yeah, he obviously hasn't had time to get back here and do any of that, and yeah, I'm sure we'll throw something in the boxes and make it funny.
How was your meeting with the
Tyson.
I can't talk about recruiting at all.
Does playing in the Alamo Bowl for a second time in 3 years have any advantage to it for you guys?
I think knowing where to go, knowing where the bathrooms are, and that kind of thing. The hotel's going to be the same. The practice site's going to be the same. The people down there were awesome and are awesome as far as their approach and how they do a great job of emphasizing the football game and the right events for the fans and for the families and the traveling partners. Yeah, they've been great, and hopefully there's some familiarity.
Tyler was saying it'll be like a home game for TCU, like it was for Texas.
Sure.
Are you kind of
absolutely
preparing you guys for that aspect of it?
Yeah, the indoor part of it and crowd noise are certainly elements that we'll have to deal with, and then hopefully our fans, show up just like they did last time, and that was a little bit of a problem at times too.
Tyler Johnstone was also saying a moment ago that he lobbied a lot with Scott Frost to get his catches, and he was a little upset that he wasn't playing more receiver this year. Any plans to use him?
His ability to make a guy miss, I think, was on display, or lack thereof, and so I think you just answered the question. Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities between the path that TCU and you guys have taken this year, specifically with the quarterbacks. What does a healthy Javon Boyd mean for?
They're scary. I mean, he's really good, but then that's the thing. It's not just two guys. They've got multiple really talented receivers. They've got multiple backs. Their offensive line, they do a great job. They're kind of for teams in our league, they're kind of like a Washington State passing game combined with maybe like a Utah run game kind of aspect, and so their personnel groups and some of the things they do are similar, but then the guys that are doing it are very, very good.
What do you see in their defense?
Same thing. Trying to think of the core. There's not really somebody that's exactly like them. They're multiple, both front and coverage. They play really hard. They're a little bit younger on defense than they are on offense, but they're very, very well coached, obviously, with his background. And they play really hard.
Would you like to have the hire for any position before signing day, or is that something that could play out after?
It's something that could play out, and that it's all about getting the best guy. And sometimes that happens really quickly. Sometimes it happens later, and there's no rush at all.
Have you ever started doing interviews for that? For those seats?
Yeah, I mean, de facto interviews, like phone conversations and talking to your friends that know people that know that guy, or that kind of thing, and so it's kind of an ongoing deal.
And on LinkedIn, looking at different profiles.
Exactly. Yeah.
You said
I need to get on LinkedIn.
that it was kind of the game plan is always collaborative. How you guys attack that? Is it collaborative in terms of calling plays? Like how much did you call plays this year versus Scott? How is that different from the previous 2 years, if at all?
Yeah, it's not really different from probably here in the last 15 years of you call the game, quote unquote, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you start prioritizing a little bit obviously more in detail on Thursday, and it's done usually early Friday or Thursday night, where it's your red zone, whatever, your red zone 1st and 10s, your field zone 3rd and shorts, all those things are just we have it in a system in a way where you could show up on game day and look at the scoreboard and call a play, literally. And so it's you want to be kind of in attack mode and be able to fall back on tendencies and all that stuff only so much, and especially in a bowl game, the tendencies are kind of out the window.
But on a game day itself, like that would be Scott actually making sure that play gets. He's the one selecting
the majority of it, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. But then again, there's everybody else is putting this together collaboratively and making it again. Field zone, 2nd and long, play 1, 2, 3, 4 is decided.
Sure. I think someone said earlier, talked about Matt and kind of what you liked about him. Passing game coordinator. What does that really imply? What does that role mean in terms of could that give a guy who's never been an OC before kind of an insight into what it would take?
Yeah, in our terminology, that title means different things at different places. Sometimes that's just a title. Lube has done a fantastic job these last few years of literally adapting a bunch of stuff that he's done in the past, whether it's his background or David Cutcliffe influence or some of that stuff. He does a great job of bringing stuff from the NFL to mesh with our system, and so he's been instrumental. Again, I don't know what percentage was, and I'd be 78% of the passing game or the passing ideas, are his or were his. And then again, we're all sitting there putting it together and making it fit.
At your first Alamo Bowl practice, you talked about how it would be good to get the brand of Oregon football for recruiting purposes in Texas. What does that entail? What are you allowed to do?
Yeah, unfortunately, during the dead period, very little. I think other than showing up and representing the university well, representing our program well. kind of continuing to do what they've done that way.
Do you think a guy can be impressed or maybe become more interested in your program by playing a bowl game in Texas?
Sure. If I'm a kid sitting somewhere and I see Royce Freeman doing an interview and acting like he acts, or some of our other guys doing the things they've done, or see the things that they'll do in the community, that's absolutely.
You said that Scott wanted to take part but couldn't. His other guys have obviously taken jobs to work through bowl games. Is that something where you made that call, or is that UCF's athletic department, or I guess who made the call? Said, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, we just talked. We just talked about it, and it's that would be a good study of how many guys just go and how many guys try to do both. It's hard. It is very hard, and especially of you're starting from scratch in terms of a staff. You're getting to know players. You get not only your current roster, but the recruits involved, and so that's a tough deal. And to go back and forth and do justice to both, we just kind of decided was really hard, and that was tough because he absolutely needed it.
Mark,
Good.
how far in advance did you know that they wanted to talk to Scott about that job? Did you know well in advance?
I don't remember exactly how many days or whatever, but he's had opportunities as have other guys this year and last year, and so that's a good byproduct. It's kind of a bittersweet byproduct of our players doing a lot of great things.
Thanks.